unheard story, a backstory which many people don't know about.
37,000 people have died. 1967 war, in which the Palestinians have lost all their territory. Palestinian resistance movement is started. PLO came into existence. Because Israel is the one country which was selling its security systems to other countries.
Yes.
Including India.
Yes. It was sudden, and it was social media which made the October 7 attack. There's no ceasefire. Why so? Is the UN a toothless tiger here?
Pressure came in America also. Then they said, okay, long pauses they talk about. The Western European countries and Israel are on one page when it comes to Hamas.
The American stance is not clear. Are they being manipulative?
Secondly, Israel has lost its moral ground.
Weapon which was used to attack Gazans, it was written made in India.
India is opposed to terrorism of any form.
Any form.
Immediately the Prime Minister has condemned these type of groups, because they believe in guerrilla warfare. You can't see them.
On October 7th, Israel was shaken up by a devastating attack. Hamas, the militant group of Palestine, attacked on southern Israel, killing 1,200 people and taking approximately 250 hostages. Then Israel retaliated with many retaliatory strikes, and since then the conflict has converted into a full-scale war. There's no stop to it. And there's more to it. The entry of Hezbollah, the entry of Houthis into the frame, the stance of Western countries, the stance of India. We'll try to understand all of that in today's conversation with veteran journalist and defense expert Mr. Qamar Agha. With its esteemed experience in covering conflict, we'll try to understand what does Israel-Hamas war has implications on the Middle East countries. Mr. Qamar, thank you so much for joining us on our show. How are you doing, first of all?
I'm fine. Thank you.
If we talk about Israel-Hamas war, the Gaza war has been not stopped since 8 months. It's been 8 months since October 7th, and the war is still going on. There's no stop to it. What do you think? Why is this war still going on? Why is a ceasefire not being done?
Israel's objectives are too big. The main objective is to eliminate Hamas. There they are finding difficulty.
Okay.
Hamas is very well entrenched in the society of Israel, of Palestinians.
Yes.
It's very difficult to eliminate or annihilate any organization because it's an ideology. You cannot kill the ideology. Even if they succeed, then more radical group would emerge. This is what we have been seeing past several years. Attempts were made to suppress Hezbollah, but Hezbollah become much more stronger.
Yes.
These are the problem with Israel. And 37,000 people have died.
Yes.
Most of them are children and women. 70-80% infrastructure is destroyed. And yet they have not been. 7th month has passed, and according to the American sources, they believe it may continue another 7 months to get rid of Hamas.
Okay, you were very right. About 35,000 people in Palestine has been killed, and mostly women and children. We see pictures and videos circulating on social media, and that is really heart-wrenching. But when we talk about the Israel-Hamas war, did it start on October 7th? Because there is a lot to it. There is a historical context to it. But there is an unheard story, a backstory which many people don't know about. Do you want to shed light on that, please?
You see, in fact, if you look at the Palestinian-Israeli conflict,
yes,
that is going on much before the establishment of Palestine.
Okay.
Since I think 1917 or 16, when Welfare Declaration was announced, in which Palestine was declared as the Jewish homeland.
Okay.
Since then, large number of European and Jews from other countries started migrating towards Palestine. Many massacres have taken place. Settlements were built, land was confiscated. And then Britishers withdrew from the Palestine in 1948, and later Israel was declared as an independent state by the General Assembly of United Nations. And in this period, if you look at it, large number of Palestinians had to move out, migrated from Israel to other places because it became very difficult. Gandhi at that time said Palestine belongs to the Palestinians in the same sense as Britain belonged to the Britishers or French belonged to the France belonged to the French. Nehru said, it's a fit case of settler colonialism. Then many other international leaders have condemned this act. India since then have been supporting Palestinian cause. So after that, 1948, then partition of Palestine, that was called al-Nakba, because large number of Palestinians had to move out. After that, 1967 war, in which the Palestinians have lost all their territory. Israel has occupied the entire Palestinian territory. The West Bank, the Gaza Strip, the East Jerusalem, and Sinai Peninsula from Egypt, and then Golan Heights from Syria, and a small part from Lebanon. So the war was continuing, unending. After that, once they occupied West Bank or Gaza Strip or these things, then Palestinian resistance movement is started. PLO came into existence, and this resistance, war of resistance, which they call it, continued till early 90s when they signed Oslo Accord.
What do you think, sir? Why you said that it is being the war is since so long, but it came into highlight on October 7th. We were saying that it was because of the power of social media. Do you really believe that it is because of social media?
Social media has picked up.
Yeah.
But you see what was happening, it was suddenly.
Sudden.
October 7th, Israel, people used to believe, all of us, they have an iron curtain security, ironclad security. Nobody can enter. Their claim, Israeli claim. And these bunch of people, say about 200 to 300 people, have broke that security, went inside Israel, killed people, brought 250 people as a hostage. So this was unheard, because it was believed that Israel is the most powerful nation in that region, and Israel maintains this military superiority in that region. There's no doubt about it, and yet this thing happened because Israel is the one country which was selling its security systems to other countries, including India. So that myth was shattered, and mainstream media was not writing much. So the social media picked up the stories, and as things passed by, the killing started, retaliation, in which large number of people started seeing them on television screen, all over the Western world in the media. Public opinion has shifted in Europe and America. First time, large number of people came out in support of
many protests happening all over the world.
Now, and movement is very powerful at the moment in both Europe and America. I'm not talking about the global South or Russia or China, the industrialized world, the democratic nations, and still these movements are continuing. Millions of people are marching. Every Saturday, Sunday, in major cities of Europe and America.
We have seen.
So social media generally picked up a story, because it become very interesting, and large number of people were interested in seeing them. The alternative source of information, which was coming through social media platforms.
So A, it was sudden, and B, it was social media, which made the October 7 attack a bigger issue for the world. The United Nations Security Council is continuously holding meetings for ceasefire in the Gaza war. Then many United Nations diplomats have talked about the Palestinian cause. Even India took the stand of Palestine and said that an immediate ceasefire is needed for the Palestinian and Gazan people. But do you think that this is working? Because it's been 8 months and there has been no sign of ceasefire. The war is continuous. Even after United Nations taking stand, there's no ceasefire. Why so? Is the UN a toothless tiger here?
It's not a UN toothless tiger. It's because, the American United Nations system, if you look at it, the Security Council is the most important body there, which deals with the peace and security.
Yes.
So this is the body where 5 permanent members are there who have veto power. So these are the people, these are especially the Americans, they don't want ceasefire. They want Israel to achieve its objective. They continue to give them time. But the problem is, Israel, they were first thinking that maybe 1 month, then they realized 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, but they failed on that point, So therefore, then American realized the public opinion, pressure came in America also. Then they said, okay, long pauses they talk about. Not the ceasefire, complete, total ceasefire, but long pauses so that humanitarian assistance, humanitarian aid could reach, because this was the period Israel has closed down the Rafah border from where the humanitarian assistance was coming. So they said, yes, okay, long pause. Even then, Israel refused to accept that. Siege, the water was cut, electricity was cut,
yes,
hospital was running,
yes,
short of supplies. Then Israel started attacking hospitals, schools, even those schools which were run by United Nations, they were also targeted.
Okay.
Where refugees were, children were seeking education. So then, the American very recently said, day before yesterday, a ceasefire resolution was passed. But the Israelis are still, saying that their objectives is not achieved yet,
Okay.
They want peace, but they said that the hostages should come out. And many believe, the Americans are helping Israel so that the hostages may come out of Hamas, that is one of the factors, in this, because Israel, there is a tremendous pressure on Netanyahu government to bring hostages back.
Yes.
So that's why. And it looks, the Western European countries and Israel are on one page when it comes to Hamas. Their strategic decision is that Hamas should be eliminated. But will they succeed? Because the past record is bad.
My next question to you is about America only. When we talk about the US stance on the Israel-Hamas war, on one side, Joe Biden is supplying equipments to Israel, war equipments, arms to Israel. After every attack, we see that American weapons has been used to attack Gaza. On the other side, Joe Biden says that we are continuously aiding Gazans, we are continuously sending humanitarian aids, we are with the Palestinian people. So here, the American stance is not clear. Are they being manipulative? Are they taking not a side, but still they are with Israel and they're just trying to manipulate the people by saying that we are with the Palestinians? What is their exact stance? What do you understand Joe Biden's stance in this Israel-Hamas war?
You see, American policy is to ensure Israel's security and its military superiority in that region.
Okay.
So Hamas has threatened the Israeli security. So therefore, they need weapons.
Yes, they do.
So Americans are supplying weapons.
Yes.
So that Israeli continue to maintain its military hegemony over the region. Secondly, Americans are also under pressure, because the people are dying, the children, especially women and children, the American pressure is there.
Yes,
you know.
the whole
So-
world is
So
pressurizing
they
them.
are also supplying humanitarian assistance to the Palestinians, but that is not sufficient. They have not been able to put enough pressure on Israel to open the Rafah crossing. From Egypt, it can come
Yes,
easily. you know.
yes, yes.
So what they are doing, the airdropping together with some other
Huh.
countries. But that is very small.
Not enough.
Not enough. And they said that they will build a port over there through commercial shipping, would bring large quantities of humanitarian assistance and medicine, whatever, the food and medicines. But the problem is, Israel is taking a lot of time to clear these assignments.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is also not working.
Hmm.
As a result, the famine is spreading.
Hmm.
Hospitals don't have much medicines.
Hmm.
As I mentioned earlier, also hospitals were also targeted.
Hmm.
The situation is really bad. And secondly, Israel has lost its moral ground.
Okay.
authority. Israel was the one country, which was supported by most of the Western nations, just because these are the people who suffered so much during the Second World War. And even
Yes,
before.
they did. The Jews.
The Jews,
Yeah.
there is no doubt about it.
Hmm.
6 million people were killed.
Yes.
It was a big number, and so the Europeans have transferred their problem from Europe to Israel, to Palestine, by creating Israel.
Hmm.
And since then they are supporting. And secondly, Israel is very important in American strategy of the region, or American policy of the oil-rich
Okay.
region of the Central West Asia and North Africa.
Acha.
Because Israel is in the middle side, it's very close to Africa and
Huh.
also in Asia. So therefore, American policy is to maintain Israel's military superiority over the region. The problem is now Iran is challenging the Israeli military superiority,
Yes.
and Americans as well as the Israelis are saying Iranians are making a bomb because they have able to achieve uranium enrichment up to 60 level. And from 60 to 100 or 95 level, going not much difficult,
Okay.
which is needed, industrial level, which is needed to make a bomb. So these are the concerns. Although Iranians are denying they are making a weapon, they say that a nuclear weapon is a weapon of mass destruction and Islam has no place. That's their line. But
Okay.
Americans and Israelis and many Western nations don't buy that. So another things, the region, this war has really done a lot of damage to Israel. It's public opinion in Western Europe, especially among the youth, have changed to a great extent. Then, secondly, it has also triggered some sort of nationalism in the Arab world.
To unite together for Palestine.
Palestine.
Yes.
And as a result, what is happening, the pro-American regimes are finding difficulty in promoting American interests in that region. There are two Israeli neighbors, Jordan and Egypt, both are in a very difficult situation. I don't rule out the possibility, regime change in Egypt. Maybe, the palace coup might take place, another military general, replace and come to the power, or something happening in Jordan. This cannot be ruled out.
We talked about the American stance. Now, when we talk about the Indian stance, where does India stands in the Israel-Hamas war? Is it with the Israelis or is it with the Palestinians? If I talk about a recent incident, an image circulated on social media where on a weapon which was used to attack Gazans, it was written "Made in India." So is India supplying weapons to Israel silently where does it stand? Because in the United Nations, as we said, that India stood up for Palestinian cause and a ceasefire for Palestinians. So where does India stand in Israel-Hamas war?
You see, when Hamas attacked Israel,
Hmm.
India considered it as a militant strike, a terrorist strike rather.
Yeah,
India is opposed to terrorism of any form.
any form.
Immediately, the Prime Minister has condemned.
Yes.
India started helping Israel, started sending material, weapon systems, to deal with the terrorist problem which Israel was facing.
Hmm.
This government has very close ties with Israel,
Yes, it has.
very special relation with Prime Minister, has personal ties with Prime Minister Netanyahu.
Yeah.
So they started pumping, but soon it was realized, large number of people are dying. And Palestinians need humanitarian support also.
Hmm.
So what India did, what the government did, started supplying humanitarian assistance as well. India is committed to the Palestinian cause. India believes, official stand of India is that two-state supports, the two-state solution. India wants independent Palestinian state to be created in
Yes.
the occupied territories of 1962. So that is a commitment over there. But the problem is that Israel is not willing. India is not putting enough pressure on Israel. India is not championing the Palestinian cause as earlier it used to do during Mrs. Gandhi's time or Rajiv's time.
Nehru's time.
But long, even during Narasimha Rao, the times have changed.
Okay.
When the Palestinians have made a deal
Hmm.
with the Israelis,
Hmm.
then India stopped championing the Palestinian cause. Before that, we were the ones, But still, we are supporting Palestinians. Number of projects, Indian projects are there in Ramallah and other occupied territories of Palestine. We have an embassy there. We have also, giving a scholarship to the Palestinian students studying here.
Yeah.
So women programs, number of programs, we are taking up, providing training in different fields, to the Palestinians.
Sir, Israel is fighting in multiple fronts. Iran has come up fully in support of Palestinian cause. The Hezbollah, Houthis, and Hamas, Israel is fighting against all of these axes of resistance. Houthis are stopping shipping in the Red Sea, which we are calling the Red Sea crisis. Hezbollah, it's striking Israeli places. Israel is also striking back. So what do you think? Who is the biggest threat to Israel? Is it Hamas? Is it the Houthis, or is it Hezbollah? Who is the biggest threat to Israel at this time?
It is very difficult to say because Israel is the most powerful nation.
Very powerful.
Very powerful. Very sophisticated army, blessed with most sophisticated weapons. But, you cannot win a war with the weapons. You can defeat a regular army, like Americans, are able to remove Saddam Hussein from power. But they're unable to install a pro-American regime over there. They fought with the Taliban for about 22 years, and in the end they negotiated with the Taliban and handed over power to them. So it is very difficult to deal with these type of groups, because they believe in guerrilla warfare. You can't see them. All of a sudden they come and attack and go. And it's a big area. What Iranians have done, Iranians have given them technology, which is very cheap, like drones, use of drones, or missiles. They manufacture themselves, whether it is a Shia militia in Iraq or Houthis and this Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a very powerful group, The strategy it looks is that, they don't want a total all the time or total engagement with Israel.
Hmm.
So what they are doing, they are not targeting Israel
Okay.
because they are far. Earlier they tried, but they couldn't reach.
Okay.
So now the thing is that they have disturbed the commercial shipping in this Red Sea.
Red Sea.
So what is happening? The cost of shipping is going up to many-fold.
Hmm.
Insurance charges have also gone up. So it's a burden on American as well as European economy.
Yes, because the shipping is not only stopped for Israelis, but the
It's going to
American,
Europe.
the British, all of them are being stopped by the Houthi
All those
militants.
countries which are supporting Israel,
Yeah,
they are target.
basically.
They're
on target.
So then American had to deploy a large number of troops in Eastern Mediterranean
Hmm.
to protect Israel from threat emanating from Hezbollah.
Hmm.
Then, in order to protect the oil supplies,
Hmm.
Americans had to deploy a lot of troops in Persian Gulf area, especially in and around Gulf of Hormuz. So that is how it's a huge burden
Hmm.
on American economy, because the American had to deploy, uh, the fifth generation fighter bombers in Qatar.
Okay.
Then their ground forces are being deployed in Bahrain. Qatar, is the air headquarters of Fifth Command, and Bahrain is the headquarters of ground forces of Central Command in that region. So it's a big burden. Apart from this, they have deployed also troops in Kuwait, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan, and many other countries. But what is happening because of this involvement of these militant groups? Israel is become very insecure. Now, American had to provide protection to Israel. And to me, it looks Israel will not be able to protect American interests for a long period of time in this region. Iranians have, and plus these militant groups have made, the policy is to make Israel completely irrelevant, which has no, unable to protect or unable to provide protection to the American interest in oil-rich region of Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
Persian Gulf region, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar. These are all pro-American regions. So major changes are taking place in this region because of that October 7th.
Yes.
The Saudis were totally, these are the countries, the Persian Gulf region, the Arab region of the Persian Gulf, where, they are under the American protection. But now they are developing ties with Russia. They are also developing, relation with the BRIC countries of the BRICS, So major changes, policy changes are taking place. Because earlier the public opinion in the Middle East was in favor of America. That has turned totally against. Not because of October 7. October 7 had played a catalytic agent's work. But before that, it started changing. As a result, the pro-American governments are also finding difficulty in promoting American national interests in that region. They're looking for alternative source of protection or alternative source of businesses.
What do you think, sir? Which is the biggest threat? Hezbollah, Houthis, or Hamas to Israel looking at the current situation of war?
It is very difficult to pinpoint.
Okay.
Because Israel is the most powerful country.
Still the most powerful.
Is backed by Americans, is backed by, now the Americans and French have signed an agreement. Okay, they would protect, isolate Hamas. So French, American, as well as Israeli troops, if they're going to deal with the Hezbollah, Hezbollah is no match to these countries. But the problem is, these are the groups, it goes underground and re-emerge after some time and continue to attack. Because we have seen in the case of Hamas. So even the French or British or American, all of them come together and fight. So they will remain engaged for a long period of time. You won't be able to. You cannot kill anyone because these are the people, these are the Shia militias.
Yes.
And what has happened in the last 100 years or so? Shias were marginalized in that. So they are totally
Enraged.
And they want, that the problem is Americans, Israel, because these are the people who are supporting the most repressive regime in their countries, So they believe, together with Iran, that this is the best time we should get rid of.
Okay.
He said they are also Iranians are saying the bigger problem coming from America, not from Israel. Israel is just a small country become so powerful because of the American support. So they are also saying, that Americans have no role in the Middle East. Presence of American troops in the region, have no reason to be there. They are also counseling Saudi Arabia not to sublet your security to the big powers.
Okay.
The argument is, that we should all, it is the responsibility of the countries of the region to protect this area. So don't sublet, to the Americans or British or French or German, whosoever. Yeah. So big changes are going to take place in the Middle East. Very soon, you will see, within 5 to 10 years.
Okay. You must have come across the phrase "all eyes on Rafah." It was a sea of hashtag on social media, "all eyes on Rafah." All the youths, all the social media personalities, all the Bollywood actors posted "all eyes on Rafah" on their social media stories. There are more, from the sea to the river. Then there was a hashtag Zionist against Israelis. And there was one more phrase that you don't need to be a Muslim to support Palestinians. Religion also came here. So, how do you see this social media war which is happening? Is it going to make any change to a big war like Israel-Hamas war, which is happening on the geopolitical level, where Americans are involved, where Middle Eastern countries are involved? Does these people will make a difference in such a big war?
Why social media has become so powerful? Because the mainstream media is not focusing their point of view of the news. So, and suddenly, the youth in these countries have realized that too many people are dying. Too many innocent people are dying. Women and children are dying.
Yes, yes.
They believe that this is against the humanity. And not acceptable to the civilized countries of the West. They are also blaming. Up till now we were fed with the wrong information. Now they are challenging even 1948 what was happened in Akbar. They are saying that time TV was not there, so they are saying the same thing was happened at that time also, because millions of people, about 8 lakhs or more, were become homeless and migrated to other countries, which are now multiplied to millions. So that is, it piques their conscience, and now started supporting. All eyes on Rafah. Millions of people have millions. Similarly, another very important thing, this struggle is not backed by the Muslims. All people belonging to different religions. And not only that, the large number of American or European Jews are also supporting this.
Yes, many Jews.
They are also saying this is not not acceptable to them also, because anti-Semitism is also growing
in America.
Europe and America,
yes.
both, and they had suffered a lot before the Second World War.
A lot.
They suffered a lot, because the Christian hostility is there in their mind against the Jews. Because they think they were responsible for the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. So that is there for centuries, which is coming. Although they have patched up this, they came out of it. But again, started developing. So Jews are also coming up. This is not the purpose of establishment of Israel. Jews are also blaming that the Zionists are responsible for what is happening in Israel. It's the Zionist movement which is there. Some Jews are saying, no, we don't have right to go back to Israel. We have to go back when the Messiah comes. Only then we will go. So all sorts of divisions within the Israel is also coming into fold.
Yes, you were right. There is division in the Israeli government. There is a lot of protest happening. We'll come to that topic later. But now that we are talking about social media, I want to ask you that there is more war happening in the world. For example, the Russia-Ukraine war. It's been more than 2 years that Russia-Ukraine war has been happening. But why do we see and why do we only talk about the Israel-Hamas war, especially on social media? Why do we only get to see pictures, blood-shedded pictures of Palestinian kids, of Gazan kids, and of Gazan women, and not from the other side of the world where people are suffering? Is it a propaganda by the Hamas? Are they trying to instigate people by showing those images? Or are they using social media as a tool to victimize the people of Palestine?
No, there is a difference between the two. Number one, the social media influencer are using these platforms, mainly because the mainstream media, as I mentioned, is not highlighting the problem of the Palestinians. Secondly, the Palestinians are fighting for a legitimate rights, a legitimate cause. They want to establish their homeland, which is granted by the United Nations. So, and the struggle is going on for decades. It's not today. They have signed number of agreements also, the peace treaty also.
Yes.
Peace agreement with Israel. They have agreed on a two-state solution and yet not implemented. Secondly, the killings of the Palestinians were going on for number of years, especially ever since Netanyahu formed this government.
Okay, that is new.
West Bank and Gaza Strip. More and more land are being confiscated and settlements are being built over there. So the public Western nations were following it. It was reported small bits and pieces and bits, but social media was reporting it for many years. Then Hamas is not recognized by most of the countries.
It is
Hamas,
recognized as terrorist by many countries.
by the countries, but not by the many other countries believe that these are basically a militant group which is fighting for the establishment of Palestinians. Okay. They may not agree because the way they are behaving is
violence.
It's a religious militant group. And so the difference between these two wars is totally different. There, the Russians are fighting with an organized army, which is backed by Western Europe and America.
Totally.
And there, they are continuing to receive food, electricity is there, and funding are coming from America, from all quarters.
Okay.
Here the people are, last 17 years they were blockaded. Then the siege they started. They cut off the electricity supply, they cut off the water supply and food supply. So nothing was there, So this is the different type of war which is going on.
We totally can't.
You cannot compare the two, So that is why these are the people who are not backed by any Arab countries. Country. So the common man, when they see the images, they got angry about what is happening, and especially the women and children.
Yes.
And they deliberately kill women and children because of the use of AI, artificial intelligence. They knew who are the people in the building and they attacked.
Oh.
So this was also reported. How far it is correct, I don't know, but the use of artificial intelligence was there.
Yes, we can't deny the suffering of Palestinian people, even if Hamas is playing a propaganda, but the images are real. The kids are being killed, the women are suffering, and the people are suffering, except kids and women. We can't deny the fact that Palestinians are suffering there. But if we talk about a recent incident, sir, then 4 hostages have been freed by the Israeli military, by the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces. And in that operation, more than 200 Palestinians were killed. I know the life of 4 hostages also matters, and the life of those 200 plus Palestinians also matters, but there was a way out. A ceasefire could have been done, a talk could have been done, and the hostages could have been exchanged like it was done earlier. But an operation was held, and then more than 200 Palestinians were killed. They took the hostages safe back. We have seen videos, the actual footages where the hostages were kept. There was a woman, Noah Argamani, and there were 3 people. One was Russian citizen too. So, what do you think that was that okay to kill more than 200 people to save 4 hostages?
And 3 Israeli hostages were also killed in this operation.
Yes, reports came.
So I mean, it's a big, because there was a tremendous demand from the Israeli public on Netanyahu government. They wanted hostages to be released as soon as possible. Not only that, they are saying that Netanyahu has failed to bring hostages back home. They're demanding that this government should be dismissed, and they wanted to bring more radical government who could bring hostages back, more strong action against them. Yes, this was condemned by many social media platforms, of killing of 270 people for release of 4 prisoners, when there was a way for a negotiated settlement, and Hamas was willing to negotiate, and yet, this operation was conducted. So that, Israel has the government. This is a government which is very dominated by far left or far right people, in Israel, which believes, they believe there's a general consensus. They believe that Gaza is important for Palestine, for Israeli security, and then Gaza is also important because there's a big oil and gas deposit in the
Economically also, it's
economically
important.
also, in the Mediterranean Sea, which actually belongs to the Palestinians.
Yes.
But they are not allowing Palestinians to sell oil and gas. The Israelis have signed an agreement with some British oil company. Thirdly, they are also saying that the West Bank is the land of their kings and prophets. So they are saying, how can we withdraw from the lands of our kings and prophets? This is a biblical land, so we will not withdraw. Jerusalem, they are saying, look, Jerusalem is a capital of Israel, united capital of Israel, so therefore we will not withdraw. It means, they are not going to withdraw. The policy is to push these Palestinians out of that land. And this is what's going on for quite some time, the way the expansion of settlements, the way things are moving in West Bank, Gaza is, hundreds of people were killed in West Bank also during this period. Large number of them were arrested also in the past 7 months. In West Bank, I'm talking what is happening there. It's different. Every day there is a tussle taking place at time. The settlers are attacking Palestinians. They suddenly come, in large number and say this house belongs to us. So all sorts of things are happening.
Yes.
Which are not approved by the people in general.
Okay.
All over the world.
Okay, sir, before we wind up, I want to ask you one last question. That the Netanyahu government, the Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, the Israeli people itself, the Israeli ministers itself are accusing the Netanyahu government of not handling the Israel-Hamas war properly. They are protesting against Benjamin Netanyahu in front of his residence, in front of his office, and saying that resign now. Why is this happening? Will Netanyahu government fall anytime? Is there an election going to happen in midst of this Israel-Hamas war?
now you see, whenever some solution comes from outside, from United Nations or from Americans, we have seen, the far right groups within the Israeli government is composed of many smaller parties. It's a coalition government.
Okay.
So they withdraw their support.
Recently,
once-
one leader did.
Huh.
He withdrew.
So once they withdraw the support, the government falls. Then they go for election. It takes another 3 to 4 months. The new government will come. Then again, same sort of coalition will emerge. And so in that situation, if the pressure comes, the government will collapse. And when the government collapses, they go for another election and will take some time. They'll buy. You see, the Israeli coalition was made in a fashion to ensure that or to perpetuate their occupation in the Palestinian territories, deliberately made so that they do not withdraw from these territories. They remain with Israel. So that is a thing, So no outside pressure work on Israel.
Thank you so much, Mr. Qamar Agha, for talking to One India. It was delightful talking to you. We got to know a lot about this war, a lot insights into this war, which was unknown to the people. And that was Mr. Qamar Agha for One India News. We got to know a lot from him. I hope the conversation was helpful for you too. It is very important for an interconnected world to know the dynamics of wars like Israel-Hamas war. And that was it for today. We'll see you next time in another interview, in another conversation. Till then, keep following One India News.